Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. Stick through to the end because I have a question to ask you guys about a video series that I have an idea for where I do a whole bunch of stupid stuff on camera and I need your guys' input. Let's start the show. The Pildriver is the new big bore pre-charge pneumatic offering from Hatsan. This thing has a 62 caliber bore, and when I saw it at SHOT Show this past year, the first thing I did was stick my finger in it, as one does. 62 caliber means that we are talking about some real bullet weights. The lightest one that we'll be shooting today is a 650 grain hollow point, and the heavy one is 700. Normally in the intro I would talk about operation, but I have a dedicated segment for that, so we're going to talk about features. The rifle operates off a 480cc carbon fiber tank that yields about 5 full powered shots before having to recharge. It pushes that projectile down a 33-inch barrel that is surprisingly light because all the metal has been hogged out of it to make the bore. This thing comes optics ready with a 14-inch long scope rail that is cut for both Picatinny and 11mm dovetail mounts. The weapon has a finger safety located at the front of the trigger guard, and it remains in the off position when set. As far as customizability is concerned, it has adjustments for both the cheek height and an adjustable cheek riser, and the rubber butt pad is adjustable for both elevation and angle. And while that rubber butt pad is mostly for reduction of felt weight, the rifle does have a little bit of recoil. And if 62 caliber is just a little bit too much for you, then the Pildriver also comes in 50 and 45 caliber. Those of you who consider yourselves to be natives of the air gunning community will find what I'm about to go through to be relatively review. But I think that there's a substantial proportion of the powder burning community that will find interest in this piece simply because of its massive caliber. Again, 62 caliber, 650 grains on that hollow point right there. So what I'm going to go through really quick is simply the loading process so that it's a little bit more defined. I could have just sped through it in the intro, but I thought that dedicating a little bit of time to the loading sequence is important. So anyway, what we've got here is the Pildriver, and then over here we have a fill tank, and this tank goes up to 4,500 PSI. And most tanks, or most air fill tanks that you're gonna find are gonna come with an end on them that looks something like that. This particular air rifle fills with a fill stem like this, and it simply just kind of goes in here right like that, locks in. And then to start the fill process on this particular rifle, we actually have to cock it. And when we cock it, there is a small tab here that protects the fill port from getting any kind of material in it, and thus when we fill it up, blowing the guts full of gunk, right? So we go ahead and cock the rifle right like that, and then we take our fill stem and insert it. And if you're concerned about it, there is an integrated manometer right here that'll tell you how gassed up you are. And in this particular instance, we close this valve and then we open this one. Wait for the hissing to stop. I can feel the heat on the tank underneath my arm. And then we do everything in reverse. We simply open this valve, which takes the pressure off of the tank, and then we bleed it off right like that. We go ahead and set our fill tank aside, and then we would simply just open the breech back up and take our projectile and stuff it in there and then close it. Well, the question that all of you are probably going to be asking is, how fast does it go? So we're going to start out with the 650 grain. I've put a new load of gas in it, and we're going to see if we can't pass it through the chronograph, not hit the chronograph, and hit that piece of steel down there.
Great success. Looks like we're just over 600 feet per second. Let's move up to the 700 grain.
Now we're gonna move up to the 700 grain, and this is the same thing, only it doesn't have a hole in the front of it for a hollow point. So, I don't know. I could do the math real quick to see what it theoretically should be, but we're just gonna see what the gun does.
Looks like just a hair under 600 feet per second. So we didn't lose very much at all. And ultimately, I think what this demonstrates is that this is about a 45 ACP round, only it weighs 3 times as much.
So what does that mean? We have a level 3+ plate out there. That's one of the Caliber Armor ones that we tested. It's ultra high molecular weight polyethylene plate. And it's kind of been laying out in the rain for a year and a half. But we're gonna see if it will stop a 700 grain projectile, and for that we're going to take votes. What do you say, sir? Yes or no? Going through.
No. Oh yeah.
So no, yes,
No.
no,
No.
no,
Yes.
yes,
No.
no,
No.
no. I'm going no. So I wasn't paying attention. I have to hit it. It didn't even make it through the first outer layer of that sucker. Now, of course, it does have, I can literally take this plate that's supposed to be super rigid and flex it, right? Like, it's not supposed to do that. But yeah, I was expecting it to do a little bit more than that. But I can tell you right now that based on the deformation inside this thing, you wouldn't want to be wearing that whatsoever.
Now we're going to move on to some slightly softer targets. First up, an eggplant.
Did it go right through it?
Can of corn, can of corn.
Ooh, it wasn't quite ready.
And a giant tub of peanut butter.
You hear it hit the tree down there. It's like a pumpkin hitting a tree. I normally put critiques towards the end of the videos, but I'm going to put this one here because I've got something else at the end of the video. Now, I have tested lots of other Hatsan products before, and they may have done this, and I just didn't detect it at the time. But this one, when you cock the rifle, the fill port opens, right? So that you can access it. There's a shield over it. Well, when I close the breech, it stays open, and it does not come forward until I pull the trigger. Now, in my opinion, that leaves an opportunity for foreign objects to find itself in there, because now you're walking around with the rifle cocked, and that shield is going to be open. So I would say that if it happened in the past and I just didn't detect it with the other models, then I missed something. And if this is the only one that does that, then I think that that is a feature that should be deleted. Big bullet. But you know what else fits? Yes. A AA battery will fit down the bore. Now, unfortunately, because it is a little bit too long, we can't load it like this. I could get it in there, but I have to pound it in there. But you know what's more effective? Ever so slightly. We have to shoot it, right? So, what about a CR123? Let's see if we can hit the van. Actually, there was way more recoil in that than I thought there was. That was probably not good. We probably shouldn't do that again. For those of you who are new here, that last segment might have seemed a little bit weird. But for those of you who have been here for a minute and been subscribed to the channel for a while, you know exactly what's coming next. As it turns out, there are many things in my shop that fit down the bore of this here air rifle. And my pitch to you guys is that I would like to do a video series of shooting a whole bunch of random things out of said air rifle. But to do that, there's going to be some costs associated with it, and I'm not asking you for money. All I need to know from you guys is that you want to see it. So sound off in the comment section down below, make this video popular, and things like this auto punch will start coming out of this air rifle. And I want to perhaps get Ballistic Dummy Labs and companies like that involved so that we have something fun to shoot at. And for that, I will see you in the next video.